In ancient times, on the island of Crete, a grotesque creature known as the Minotaur, half man, half bull, was imprisoned within an immense labyrinth. The monster was the son of Pasiphae, wife of King Minos, who had the labyrinth built to keep his supposed offspring away from everyone. The construction was commissioned by the king and designed by the most skilled craftsman in the city, Daedalus. Each year, young Athenians were sent as tribute to be devoured by the beast. After some time, one day, the hero Theseus, prince of the city, with the help of the Cretan princess Ariadne and her enchanted thread, defeated the monster and escaped the labyrinth. The magical thread had been provided by Daedalus himself, and his betrayal to the city and the king was discovered shortly after the Minotaur's death. Furious at the treachery, Minos turned his wrath against Daedalus and his son Icarus, condemning them to a perpetual and irrevocable punishment. The damnation would be harsh. Father and son were to be imprisoned in a stone tower atop the palace of Knossos. The stone tower stood tall and solitary atop a small rocky island, surrounded by the turbulent waters of the Aegean Sea. Its walls, eroded by the relentless sea air, bore deep cracks, like scars telling stories of abandonment and desolation. The structure was high and narrow, with small windows that barely allowed light to enter, leaving the prisoners in constant dimness. A dense mist enveloped the island, blurring the tower's contours, creating a feeling of claustrophobia and isolation. The waves crashed violently against the surrounding rocks, producing a monotonous and menacing sound, while the island, distant from everything and everyone, remained forgotten. A silent testament to punishment and tragedy. Daedalus, however, was no ordinary man. His creative mind could never be truly imprisoned. Observing the sky and the birds that flew freely, he conceived a bold idea: to build wings for himself and Icarus so they could escape their prison. With patience and ingenuity, he began to gather feathers carried by the wind, separating the larger ones for the structure and the smaller ones for lightness. He shaped a framework with thin branches and bird bones, tying everything together with threads taken from their own garments. Finally, he melted wax and used it to glue the feathers, smoothing them with his fingers, as if sculpting a dream of flight. When he finished, the wings seemed almost natural, made to defy the gods and break the limits imposed by the king. Before departing, Daedalus gave Icarus a crucial warning: not to fly too low, lest the sea's moisture weigh down his wings, nor too high, lest the sun's heat melt the wax. Thus, with the first rays of sunlight the next day, they took flight. Icarus, exhilarated by the ecstasy of ascension, felt the wind tear against his skin as he soared ever higher. The sea, which once seemed infinite beneath his winged feet, was now just a distant immensity, a pale reflection of the grandeur he believed he had attained. His father's warning echoed in his mind like an insignificant whisper, a powerless shadow against the overwhelming roar of his own ambition. The sun's brilliance called to him like a divine summons, a promise of something beyond mere freedom, transcendence. Icarus saw himself not as a fugitive, but as a chosen one, a being who had defied the laws of the world and triumphed. The feathers of his wings fluttered like the robes of a god, and he laughed. He laughed at the earth, at everything that had once been small. As he ascended further, the heat began to embrace him. At first, it was a subtle touch, then a burning that weakened his muscles and seared his lungs. His wings, so proudly raised, trembled, fragile. A scent of hot wax filled his nostrils, and then came the first drop, trickling down his face. He moved his arms more forcefully, trying to stabilize his flight, but felt the emptiness where feathers had once been. His wings had turned to ashes. His eyes widened, his heart raced. The sky, which had seemed a promised kingdom, now transformed into a merciless abyss. His body, once as light as the wind, became heavy, dragged down by the fury of gravity. The blue of the sea rushed toward him like a voracious mouth, indifferent to his despair. Icarus fell, his disintegrated wings scattering through the air like the ashes of a burned dream. The impact with the water was a brutal silence, insignificant. The sky remained where it was. The sun, indifferent, continued to shine. Daedalus, watching helplessly as his son fell, landed on a distant island, carrying with him the weight of loss. The sound of the sea, once gentle and comforting, was now only a lament, an echo of an irreversible end. He looked up to the sky, as if begging the sun to undo what could not be undone. Nothing happened. The weight of tragedy nullified all the lightness of moments before, and the tears Daedalus tried to hide mixed with the salt of the ocean. The sea where Icarus fell came to be known as the Icarian Sea, an eternal reminder of his attempt to reach the heavens. Daedalus continued on, bearing the burden of his mistakes, while the legends of the Minotaur and Icarus remained etched into the fabric of time, echoing the choices that shaped destinies.